the major mistake that I've seen across the board from detailers is they're not dedicating real time with that customer to truly communicate the value and do a pitch, like an actual presentation of why this exists, why it's valuable, why it costs so much, and why that customer should consider doing that.
Detailers Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast, and today I'm going to be here with Jordan Stupar, which is super exciting for me. I was telling him before we got started, I've been stalking him online for a little while. You're going to get some awesome stuff today, stuff that you would have to pay a lot of money for. So I'm super excited to share with what he's got going on. Before we get started, don't forget to go to detailersroadmap.com. Use that little demo button there at the top. We build kick-ass websites and do SEO, and we can help you do better. So go ahead and book that demo. Pat will walk you through everything on your website, even if you don't have one yet, and we'll walk you through what we can do for you and how best to serve you. Hey, let me read Jordan's bio, then we'll get his real backstory. Jordan Stupar is the founder and owner of the fastest growing sales training and media creation companies in the country. Recognized globally as a creator of cash cards, flashcards for closers, Jordan has established himself as a leading resource for today's modern sales professional and was recently named one of the top 20 entrepreneurs to watch in 2024 by LA Weekly. Congrats on that. After creating and successfully selling his SaaS company in 2020, Jordan pursued his passion for helping salespeople and sales organizations significantly increase sales and expand their digital footprint. Jordan's newer, sharper, and creative approach to sales training enabled him to quickly attract over 4,000 paying students and 70,000 customers worldwide. Unless you sell to trees and animals, Jordan's psychological and process-driven methods will help you sell more. This is awesome. That is your back. That is like your About Us LinkedIn, like this is how awesome I am.
I don't even know who wrote it, but it sounds good.
Well, Kate sent it to me yesterday, so I think that we're good to go. So
love it.
I want to get the real superhero backstory. We always ask for that on this. And one of the things I'll talk about and I'll ask you about is whether we believe that being a good salesperson is an innate personality trait. If everyone can do it, or whether or not anybody can learn how to do this and kind of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that your journey probably touches a little bit on that just with your own story. So, hey, fill us in. Thanks for being here. First of all, very grateful.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you and bring your audience some value, of course.
That's right. One of the things that I think is lacking in the detailing temp PPF industry is sales. These guys, for the most part, that's not their strong suit. I won't say they suck at it. Some of them do. But I would definitely think that when you look at sales across the board, it's probably a pretty weak aspect of it. And so this is definitely some training we want. So, hey, fill us in on the superhero backstory and we'll get going.
Yeah. Backstory, a Wisconsin guy, born and raised, and never really had any true aspirations of really being the guy that I am or anything. I just always kind of wanted a big life. And so, I followed a traditional route of, college prep school for high school and went to college. And then I dropped out because I discovered some sales going door to door. And I realized that I could make money instead of just spending it on education. And that door to door journey took me for 8 years around the country, mostly selling alarm systems. And I sold a couple vacuum cleaners too, but then moved over to New York City when I was about 23, and started inside sales and became the top salesperson at the company that I was at, and then moved down to Miami and had another sales job where I really was able to learn discipline and work ethic. And I was able to turn myself into a top 1% income earner as a commission-only salesperson. And ultimately, I ended up making the jump to becoming a sales coach, trainer, entrepreneur, because I realized that I could help other people, and I figured out how to solve other people's problems, and that's what I love to do these days. And probably doesn't make me sound much like a superhero, but here we are.
No, I mean, I love that journey of, kind of going through that, what would be more formal route, right? Like you're quite a bit younger than me, but that's always kind of been like, hey, you go to school, you go to college, you do this, you get a job, right? And I admire the entrepreneurial spirit that you diverted from that. And granted, it works great for some people. But, this whole higher education idea, whereas you said, hey, I can divert from this and actually go, build a life that I want to live outside of that environment, right?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think college is probably the best route for most people unless you're highly specialized. I think that there's a lot of other things that you can do with your life that can have a really deep and meaningful impact. So if you're younger and you don't want to go to college, then maybe you shouldn't be.
Yeah, both my girls, I've got girls that are 25 and 26, and they both tried college. One of them hated it, and the other hated it at first, but then she graduates in May with a degree in neuroscience.
Oh, wow.
And what's funny is that she's a paramedic, and so she loves the medical stuff, but at the end of the day, she probably will not use that as a career. Right. And so
more than likely not.
But like the learning aspect, and I told her that, I'm like, well, if this is something you want to learn about, go learn about it and use that to enrich your life. And she has, and she stuck it out for 6 years working full time. And so
awesome.
It taught her some things along the way.
For sure.
So explain to us the difference between inside sales and the other types of sales. Cause you said I was in inside sales, and I don't think everybody understands what that means. So
sure.
If you just fill that in, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So, you basically have inside sales and outside sales. Outside sales is, going door to door or hitting appointments where you're kind of in person. That could be business to business, business to consumer, whatever. And then inside sales is, you're basically in the office leveraging a phone or, Zoom presentations or whatever it is. And you're not really physically moving around. You're just inside and conducting sales activities that way.
Okay. So yeah, in detailing and those kind of these small businesses, probably a hybrid.
A little bit.
Yeah. Cause actually the customers from outside are coming to you directly for your appointments.
It's kind of like inside sales. It's almost retail in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I forgot to ask you a very important personal question, which is why you have a toaster that looks like my MacBook Pro.
All the cool stuff that's inside my house is because of my wife.
Okay.
I had nothing to do with that purchase, just like pretty much everything in the house. When I met my wife, literally all I had was I had a chair and my TV was on the floor. And I'm just a guy, I don't need much fancy stuff. But, my wife, thank God she got the toaster. It's digital and it lets you know when it's like, darkening something or browning it or whatever. It's too advanced. I hardly use it.
I saw that on a reel that you posted. I'm like, what in the hell was that thing? And then I was like, that is his toaster. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Have you found that, a lot of people that are in an income bracket like you are really start to then try to hone this image, right? Like that's like, and it doesn't sound like that's your thing. Do you feel like that's something that you've tried to lean into or deliberately tried not to do? And I'm curious about the impact that might have on everything you do.
No, that's a damn good question. I to this day still kind of live within my own value system. I don't have any fancy watches. This is the nicest one I have. I think it's a Movado. Like my clients got it for me. I understand that I could have like a Rolex or an AP or something, and I could kind of present myself that certain way. But really, like the nicest thing that I'll spend money on is cars. I love Porsche 911s, and so I got my dream car last year, custom ordered it, and whatever. But as far as I guess kind of like the image of luxury, and I made it, and I don't really subscribe a lot to that. I could see why there might be some benefits or perks online to flashing a watch or, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like, I kind of stay in my own lane and spend my money on the things that I value instead of trying to impress other people, because I think that's a pretty empty way to live.
Yeah, 100%. I've never, and what's funny is I have this Tag Heuer watch, which was actually my dad's. I would have never paid what he paid for this, but he gifted it to me, and that's why I love this watch. But like, I'm not going to go. And dude, if watches are your thing, what was the? They showed the Zuckerberg on something the other, a $900,000 watch.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, 900 grand.
He could go buy the watch companies.
I know, right? Like 900 grand's nothing to him. And so like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. The interesting thing that, you deal a lot in blue collar industries, right? Like your HVAC guys. And I saw that you're coming out with something for roofing. And so like and you were talking about alarm systems. It seems like having that more down to earth kind of mentality and value system actually would be a benefit to that.
Without a doubt. I never really intended to go into kind of the blue collar, plumbing, HVAC, roofing, door siding, windows, type of thing. But when it comes to what I do with sales training, there's just such a significant ROI on the table with moving the needle just a little bit, because a lot of these, services are average ticket of 15 grand. And so if I'm able to make an impact just a little bit, the ROI for my clients can be pretty substantial. But yeah, when I show some of the older things that we've done where I'm wearing a suit and tie trying to talk about handling objections, some of these guys are like, dude, nobody's going to watch this. None of my guys even own a tie, so
right
now I'm re-recording a lot of what I do in a much more professional way, but I'm doing it in like a t-shirt because it's more relatable.
Yeah, and it's you, right? Like if you're a guy that wears a suit and tie and that's what you feel comfortable in, that's great. But if it's not really, your thing, you're going to come off weird. And I talk about this on the podcast and in some of the other stuff I do, which is you have to know your audience, right? To your point, it's like if you've got all these videos out there, these guys are going to be like, who is this douchebag, right?
Yeah, like exactly.
I'm out here on a roof trying to look at hail damage, and you're in a suit. Let me see you climb up here, right? Because then they're like, hey, this is just an insurance adjuster or whatever, an insurance guy. So I think that's super cool that you've crafted that particularly. I asked earlier, I was talking about this whole like, can we talk about sales as like a personality trait versus like a learn thing? I think some of us are born with or learn it along the way. I grew up like trailer trash and then moved every 6 months throughout my elementary career, like with whoever dude that my mom was shacking up with at the time. Yeah. So I learned sales skills, and I saw a video the other day you did where basically everything we do is sales. Yeah. And so I learned how to sell myself because I had to make friends in like a week every time we moved. And so that I had an innate ability with my personality, but that actually taught me how to do quote unquote sales. Yeah. Right. And I'm curious about your thoughts about kind of that innate versus just totally learned thing.
No, I love that topic. Me personally, I remember telling my dad, who wore a suit and tie as a very successful salesperson, that I hope I never end up like you. I wanted to be a musician.
What every dad loves to hear.
Yeah. I was like, I will never ever be like you. I remember that moment, and turns out here I am in sales. But I'm an introvert. I've never really been the, I want to go talk to everybody and be everybody's friend. I don't really get my energy from doing that. I get my energy by spending more time alone. So sales for me was something out of necessity for literally making a living. And to be really honest, I don't think that I had a very innate, characteristic in me that just made me successful. Probably like a lot of people. I do have a little bit of enthusiasm and a good attitude, which I think definitely aids itself in sales. You want to be around those types of people. But as far as like just sales, like being able to be successful, I don't think that I have a lot of those boxes checked coming out of the womb. So I do subscribe to the idea or the philosophy that if you don't think that you're good at sales or you have those characteristics, those things can absolutely be developed.
Now, you already know that Detailer's Roadmap builds kick-ass websites and does kick-ass SEO, right? We have so many cool new features coming out very, very soon, and we would love to show them to you at MTE. Mobile Tech Expo is going to be in a couple weeks as we are recording and as we launch this. So if you're going to be there, make sure you come by the booth. You can not only see some of the demos of our new features, but you can also meet your account manager, put that name to a face and voice to a face, and be able to kind of see who you're dealing with at Detailer's Roadmap. So don't forget, if you're going to Mobile Tech Expo, come by the booth. We probably have some giveaways along the way as well. So we hope to see you there.
And that's probably a main reason why I do what I do is helping those people develop those skills. I'm very good friends with my detailer, just getting it right here in the niche. And, he's the type of guy that he's younger and he owns his detailing shop. And probably like a lot of you out there listening, if you're in the detailing space, like, how damn good your, ceramic coating products are, some of those upper, higher tier, higher ticket things are. And you might not think of yourself as a salesperson, but being able to articulate and communicate the true value of what those products do long term for the owner of that vehicle is selling. Instead of just offering it up and somebody saying no because it costs more and then getting frustrated about it, that's a skill that you can develop. And to be perfectly clear, that's the skill that gets you paid every single day when you're upgrading somebody's, detailing package or whatever it is that they're doing. So, I believe that everyone can, in some way, shape, or form, develop the skill of being able to sell, ask for what they want, and then communicate the value that they can provide to another person.
I totally agree. And I think that in our industry, what I think I hear a lot is that I'm no good at selling. Like, I don't want to. And a lot of times their answer is, we'll get someone that is. Like, that's one option, obviously. Can you walk it? But at the end of the day, you need to be better at sales. Like, that's, you have to get, you have to get better at it. Can we walk through, since we're talking about the space, right? We're talking about your detailer. So you already know the basics of what that process can look like. What do you think the shops are getting right? And what do you think are some of the biggest things that they get wrong? And we can kind of do the 101 and 201 and 301 if you want on this. But like, at the end of the day, what I think would be great is if we could walk someone through a basic sales process as someone's coming in and I want to sell them a $5,000 package, or 10 or 15, depending on what your shop is and what you're offering.
Yeah. I think the number one rule that's probably being violated, which is technically no real fault of your own, it's just probably a level of awareness, is everybody understands what your basic stuff is. Your quick, higher level wash and interior clean with the vacuum, put the little lines in the carpet for $150, whatever. People get it. And again, because it's much more accessible from a financial position, you don't need a lot of time with that customer to explain the benefits of having a clean car. Like, that's what it is. When it comes to some of those higher tier things, the ceramic coatings, the PPFs, a lot of the other higher ticket things that you guys do, the major mistake that I've seen across the board from detailers is they're not dedicating real time with that customer to truly communicate the value and do a pitch, like an actual presentation of why this exists, why it's valuable, why it costs so much, and why that customer should consider doing that. And so that's number one, is I don't think I've ever had any detailer truly say, look, you're probably not going to do this and maybe you don't even need to, but I would love 4 or 5 minutes to talk to you exactly why literally so many people end up doing this. Would that be fair? And finishing it off with fair, well, of course that's fair. I would love to know a little bit more, and I'm not going to fight you on that. So it opens the door to that opportunity. That's bullet point number one, is I don't think a lot of you guys are giving yourself or your customer enough time to properly, truly explain the real benefits of what that ceramic coat is or the PPF that you offer. So that's bullet point number one. Bullet point number two is generally, again, when I'm usually pitched these types of higher ticket products for my 911 or any of the cars that I've ever had, it's very, very generic from a feature standpoint. And it's almost, you guys are in cars. So all of you guys have been to a car dealership, you've test driven. Why does the car dealership try to get you on the test drive? It's not necessarily so you can experience the car, but you can have an emotional attachment to the experience that you're experiencing.
Tactile.
Your hands on the wheel, the exhaust note in the back, or whatever the thing is. And so if you're talking to customers about, your higher ticket products and services, you've got to be thinking on, how can I get my customer to become emotional about what it is that I'm selling? People will buy that emotion more than they'll buy protection. We all understand what protection is, but ask them specific questions after talking to them about whatever, PPF on the front end of the vehicle. By the way, if you don't do this, what are you currently doing right now to ensure that the next time that you're driving on the freeway, you don't get any rock chips on your paint? That right there is going to create an emotional gap between I would be protected with this product versus I'm not right now. Therefore, every time I drive, it's a liability to my vehicle's value and aesthetic quality and blah, blah, blah. So,
and it sprinkles a little shame in there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because that's an emotional reaction to that. It's like, oh crap, maybe I should. What am I doing that I'm not supposed to be doing? Right.
Exactly. And then that's bullet point number two. And bullet point number three, I would say, is you might be trying to look for customers to say no. And I'll unpack that real quickly. You have the reticular activating system in your brain. It is basically the portion of your brain that allows your subconscious to program what you actively look for in life. It's like when you buy a red Corvette, dude, everybody has a red Corvette. Like, I drive a 911, dude. I can't help but notice 911s here in Milwaukee where there shouldn't be any 911s, but there's a bunch everywhere because I drive one. So I'm subconsciously aware of these things. And a lot of you guys might be getting into the habit of having a customer walk in, they bring in whatever, their Ford Raptor, nice stuff, and they decline your ceramic coating or your PPF. And then that they're not broke. But when they exit your store or your shop, you're like, broke ass. Like, he's cheap or blah, blah. And you start telling these little stories to yourself about your own customers. And what's going to happen? You're programming yourself to confirm your own bias about customers. They've got, they don't have money, they're broke, they don't value their cars, they're stupid for not doing these things. Well, guess what? Don't be surprised when the next customer walks in, gives you one objection, and then you just literally don't even try because you've already believed that this person's, a cheapo or a brokey. So I think that's also probably another little mishap and something to build some awareness on, is your own personal communication about what you believe to be true about your clientele.
And is there a particular, we talk about avatars and all that kind of ideal customers. Is there a particular, can we contrast that? Like, what would your mindset need to be that would improve your, because mindset is everything. I'm a big mindset guy, like, trying to control what you believe and think and how you act, and that affects your behavior. And, you're talking about the RAS, which makes a huge difference. When I get up in the morning, right, and I know I'm going to have one conversation, like, what should my mindset be around the process, the person, and my products?
I love that question. So I had to flip this script myself. Back in the day, I always found myself in that vicious cycle of, oh, dude, nobody wants what I'm selling, and everyone's broke, and blah, blah, blah. And then I became aware of, this information, and I was like, okay, I need to start every day with, customers want to talk to me. customers are going to pick up the phone today. There's people that are going to be interested in what I sell. I'm going to have great conversations today with people that make loads of money, that can afford my product and actually want it. And I just started basically just whatever I was saying, I was replacing it with its own positive, 180 direction thought process. And then subconsciously over a period of time, like, I don't notice the customers that tell me no or don't pick up the phone or curse me out or don't do business with me. I don't really even notice them. They're just part of the day because I'm looking for, John, who's like, oh, dude, actively in the market for your product right now. I'd love to schedule out some time. And yeah, we got a budget for it and we've already talked it. It's like, I'm not surprised when that happens either. So if you're in detailing, waking up in the morning, start telling yourself, dude, 3 people are going to approach me today about my highest end product. They're going to be everybody that we service and that we do business with drives nice vehicles. Everybody cares about their vehicles, and they are willing to make multi-$1,000 investments into protection. And everybody already knows that you have more horsepower if your car is clean. It's just a fact.
Right.
And you start just, it feels like a lie, but you're still lying to yourself the other direction. If you're like, oh, nobody cares about their car. Everyone just wants our base package with the vacuum. Nobody's going to upgrade. That's a lie too. So if you're going to lie to yourself, at least lie in the positive direction so that you can start at least accessing more of those people.
I love that. And, with my mentor talks about using evidence, like create your own evidence.
Yeah.
Right. So you can either find evidence you will find evidence to support whatever position you want to have.
Yes.
Right. And so to your point, and I talk about it in terms of emotional energy, like I'm not going to give away my emotional energy to someone that doesn't like me or wants to waste my time or doesn't want my products or whatever. But I can you can, at the end of the day, you can either have evidence that no one wants your product, or you can have evidence that you provide a great service and a great product and people want it.
Yep.
And I actually have gone through this myself because I used to use this phrase where I would say how did you get in here, friends? Which is basically, I would be at a party, for example, surrounded by people that at the end of the day, I may not have any business being at this party, right? Because it's a different station or whatever.
Sure.
And I used to say, I'm just waiting for security to come in and say, excuse me, sir, how did you get in here?
Yeah.
Well, I started talking to my mentor and really kind of unpacking that. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I should be here. Like I've been placed in this position at this moment in time. I have something to offer everyone I'm going to encounter today. Yep. And so I absolutely have something to give and I belong in this space.
Without a doubt.
And that's just, the reason I say that, I just want to give that example that like having that mindset and changing that. Cause if I fully believe I don't belong there, I'm going to act like I don't belong there.
Yep.
And so it's just that mindset stuff is a huge thing.
I'll even flip flop it too, is you can start thinking that way, but here's another trick. Start living like the customers you want to deal with. We'll just start small. All of you guys listening can easily afford a Starbucks coffee. Okay, I'm not a Starbucks guy, but it was the first thing off the top of my head. You go to Starbucks, play this game with your barista at the drive-through window or at the counter, or maybe you don't do any coffee, but you go and get a beer after work, whatever. Bartender, barista, whatever. They come up and they're like, what can I get you? Welcome to Starbucks. And you hit them, I want my order Americano, splash almond milk, sounds good. Then they're going to tell you the price. That'll be $4.63, pull around. And stop for a quick second and act like over dramatize you being the ideal customer for yourself. In other words, you catch me at Starbucks. I roll down my window. They're like, yeah, it's $4.68. I say, hold on 1 second real quick. That's the full price, right? And people are like, yeah, that's, I'm like, hold on a second. You mean to tell me that all I had to do is pull my car up to this building that I didn't have to source or pay for or develop, and you guys are going to get like Arabica beans from like Africa and then I didn't have to pick them. You're going to ship them over to Starbucks into your $9,000 espresso machine I didn't have to buy. And you have trained baristas that are going to make all this. And you've got milk from cows that I didn't have to. So I just pull up and give you $4.63 and you're going to give me a cup of coffee.
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.
And I know that sounds outlandish and a little bit wild, but you're putting that emotional energy, like you just said, literally out into the universe. And don't be surprised when it comes back right to you and somebody pulls up their 911 into your shop. They're like, bro, I need full PPF on absolutely everything. I want your diamond package for whatever. And by the way, how did you get it so cheap?
Right.
Where you're like, can I run your credit card twice? Like, right. Don't be surprised when that happens.
Sorry, these are starting at prices. Did I mention that? Right.
These are our monthly prices.
Yeah.
We do $5,000 a month over here. But I'm in all seriousness, the more that I behave like the people I want to buy from me, dude, the more people I find that are like, let's do business, man. Like, how soon can we get started? And it's just an energy thing. I don't think that I have enough, maybe experience or education on some of these things, but I promise you they're very real.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, because I've noticed over the last 6 or 9 months with my own, like, just really focusing on that part of my personality. And I told my wife this just last week. I was like, I am more content and joyful than I've ever been.
Yeah.
And like that, at the end of the day, no matter what you do, and we're talking about sales and stuff here, but like no matter what you do for a living, whether you're shopping, all that, like that means a lot. Like being happy and being content.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, when you put that out there, you hopefully make, someone's day with that. They'll be like, dude, I make $7 an hour. What the hell are you talking about? But it will disrupt their day in hopefully a good way when you're doing that.
And at the very least, they're sure gonna remember you. So even with your non-ideal customers, hey man, I don't think I want to pay $5,000 for your diamond package ceramic. Dude, me neither. I can't believe we even sell this shit. But like, if you ever want any information on it, takes me about 4 minutes sometimes just to show you why some people actually do that. I'm not saying that you should on your car, but if you're ever interested in just learning why that even exists, stop by the shop any old time. We'll have coffee ready for you. And we'd love the opportunity to show you at least what it is so that you have the information you need to say yes or no.
And so it's this kind of a little bit of apathetic kind of approach, right?
Yeah.
And it's because as soon as you get defensive, first of all, you've lost already.
Done.
That's a huge thing. Or if you act too cocky about it, like you're also lost. So it's and it's like a teenage girl dating, right? Like they always say if the for whatever reason they always go to the dickheads that try to pay no attention to them. And that's there's a whole concept of nice guys finishing last and no more Mr. Like there's like 2,000 books about that, right?
Yep.
But it is that apathy that for some reason we have this emotional response to. So in that case, like you're not going to try to downgrade them and sell them something else, or you're in, how does that kind of work? So
basically, the beautiful thing about detailers is you guys do have these, packages from $150 to $5,000, $10,000, whatever the deal is. When people are on a lower package, you should always ask, quote unquote, would you consider X package or whatever it is? Maybe it's your medium package, or maybe you go straight to the top. Would you consider if we were able to make it affordable and have it fit within your budget? 100% of people are going to say, well, yeah, I would probably consider that. And then it's on you to figure out the numbers and how affordable you might be able to make it, or even if you offer maybe financing on some of the larger ticket products. Also, a good trick when people say that something in the middle or even at the lower tier is too expensive, bump them up. Hey, man, I get it. Most people, when they say that, they end up paying a little bit more for this. And what that does is, it'd be the best example I could give is if I'm selling you a house and you're like, my budget is 500 grand. Like, I'm not going a penny above that. I show you a house for 300, 400, 450, 475, and you're telling me 475 is too expensive. That doesn't necessarily mean that 475 is too expensive. You told me your budget was 5. You just don't see the value in the home at 475. So what I would do is take you to a house for 6. Guess what? You're going to buy that house because you're going to go over budget for the thing that you see worth going over budget for in that house that's 6. So very similar with detailers. Somebody comes in for a $150 package and they're like, I don't know, man, that's a lot of money for a pretty simple wash and interior clean. It's like, I agree. Most people don't do that package. Most people do our $500 package where we are able to blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
You know, would you consider that? They might see that extra layer of value to go up from 150 to 500 and pay way more than what they previously said was too expensive.
That's amazing. I love that and we watch a lot of house hunters, you know, like I love the international ones, Caribbean ones mainly, but
Yep.
like you you watch these realtors and they'll say, hey, our you know, the husband of course is like 500 grand tops, and then the wife is like, yeah, but I think we can push that a little bit. Like that's always the production producers are making that happen.
Yep.
But then what does the realtor do? They show them like a $750,000 house.
Yep.
And then what that does, you know, in my mind, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like, hey, if you wanted to spend $750,000, this is what you could get. But look what you can get for $650,000.
Yep.
Even though you told me your budget was $500,000.
Yeah, you can go both ways. You know, I know detailers probably aren't in the business of deliberately downgrading somebody that is willing to pay for a higher ticket service. But you can double check that somebody is on the right package by asking them if they would move up or down. And again, they'll either move down or move up or say, nope, this is exactly where I want to be. And also understand that people will spend more money after that first money. Happens all the time. My wife does this to my credit card all the time. I'm just going to go buy a new dress. Sounds great. We got date night on Friday. I want you to look good. Go take daddy's credit card. Swipe. Then what? 30 minutes later, another swipe for a matching bag and then matching heels to justify paying too much money for the dress in the first place. So you detailers, $150 is a pretty good chunk of money for a pretty simple wash and interior clean. Let's all admit it. It's a lot of money versus $18 at your gas station or whatever. Understand that people are spending too much money on that wash and that interior clean, and everybody knows it. However, they will likely do a wheel and tire package, deep clean, or they will do some type of ceramic coating or whatever that next step is to spend more money just to justify spending too much money originally with you guys. So whatever they end up picking, get that sale, and then afterwards say, you know, by the way, you know, would you like fries with that? That's how McDonald's printed billions of dollars a year, is just by asking, would you like fries with that? Figure out what your fries are and bolt it onto every single wash and shine package that you guys do, and you will print way more money.
Yeah, I mean, and we see it a lot. I sell direct to consumer online. And what we found, and you know, this is the data that kind of surprised me. It's like, let's say somebody buys something for $170.
Yep.
If I show them, and we do, of course, we do one-click upsells every time.
Oh yeah.
What we found was if we do a one-click upsell for $20, we convert lower than if we do a one-click upsell for $170.
Yep.
So if we offer a product that's the same price, which effectively doubles the average order value of that
AOV.
order, yeah, it's like, you know, you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, people are just going to double the amount of money they spend.
Yep. I mean, it happens all the time. I do e-commerce as well, and in sales, and the first money.
I know I see your Shopify ticker right behind you. So
yeah, we just crossed the 1.8 threshold right there today. So
nice.
But yeah, I mean, people do that stuff literally all the time. So don't let somebody out of your shop just with whatever they came with. Like, try to bolt something else on, or hey, how about your wife's car, or whatever the situation is. Make sure that you're always giving yourself and your customer the opportunity to see more value.
Yeah. We talked about bullet point number 1 was this, like, the pitch, right? We talk about elevator pitches and all that. Is the pitch something that you want to practice and refine based on your ideal customer? Or is it, because what I'm guessing is that people will be like, all right, I'm going to pitch this way for this person. I'm going to pitch this way for this person. And there is some of that you need to be able to adjust. But in general, like, how do you recommend someone develop that pitch?
So I would, if possible for you guys, like, put your phone in your jacket or pocket and just record yourself a couple of times and listen to, number 1, would I buy this from me? How do you sound? Number 2, what questions am I asking? And more often than not, what are some of the features or packages that I'm almost always guaranteed to talk about? And then write those things down and start figuring out the best way of optimizing your delivery for each one of those things. For instance, this is something that I've done and spent countless hours on in what I do. When somebody's looking at a specific product of mine, I always like to either introduce them to the price or remind them of the price. So I'm a price, like, immediate type of guy. Hey man, thing you're looking at, I want to give you the price up front so that you can justify it. This is going to be 50 grand. And then I take a back door and I say, look, I'm not going to say that you're going to buy our stuff for 50 grand or that this will even be a good fit or that you even should, honestly. But if you were going to spend 50 grand on a product like this, I'm curious, what would be the 1, 2, maybe 3 things you would absolutely need to know about it in order to feel even remotely comfortable making that type of investment? So that could align itself well with people that are looking at some of your higher tier packages where you say, hey, by the way, this ceramic coating package is 5 grand. Now, I'm not going to say that you should do this or that you would or that you even should. Honestly, it's not for everybody. But if you were going to spend 5 grand on protecting your vehicle, one of the most significant investments that you'll make in your life, totally curious. What would be the 1, 2, maybe 3 things you would absolutely need to know from us today to feel even remotely comfortable investing that type of money into your vehicle? And what that does, little sales training, it puts the ball in your customer's court to help you tee up what your sales pitch should be. Because you guys can talk to me about protection and longevity all day long, things that are important to you. All I care about, dude, does my 911 look good when I pull up? That's all I care about. I could care less how long that thing is going to last and how much rain it's going to drip off because of this Rain-X thing that you added on or whatever. Like, I just want to know, is it going to look good? So that's what I'm going to tell you. And that gives you the opportunity to know what's most important to me. Forget about everything else and talk to that customer about what's important to them and frame the whole sales pitch around checking those boxes. And by the way, once you demonstrate or present those boxes that you just checked, it is entirely fair for you to ask for their business because you've done your job.
Yeah. And to your point, if they're going to give you 3, you better have all 30 options, right? Like, you better know all of those things, whether it's, man, I wish on the e-commerce side, if I could like we use Jasper and ChatGPT and brand voice and all this other crap to try to come up with those three things and try to guess them.
Yep.
And then how much money do we spend on testing for PPC and all that? Like, dude, they are literally telling you what they need for you to sell them this package.
Yep.
How easy is that? And back to your filming thing, I can hear the groans in the background, oh, I'll never film myself doing that or whatever. We always recommend people film their process to help show inefficiencies in their process and all that. Like, dude, this is part of the process. Yeah, like just you have to know what you're doing and what you're saying and how they react too.
Look, I'm going to be direct to your audience right now. If you watch sports and you worship the Green Bay Packers or your favorite basketball team, and you think that these professional athletes that you worship and spend countless hours watching, if you don't think that they're sitting around watching game tape to figure out their inefficiencies and how to get better and how to improve, and you're above that, and this is your family's income on the line every single time you're with a customer, then look, I don't know, maybe you need to go and tell your family that you're just not cut out to be the type of person you say you're going to be, because you're not doing all the things that are required of you to improve your game. So yeah, you should record yourself, put a security camera in the corner, and nobody has to know. Crack open a beer when you're done with the day and just watch yourself. Man, do I look uncomfortable? I was kind of in their space here. Damn, I forgot to show this thing. No wonder they didn't buy.
My shirt's untucked. I'm wearing.
You look like a slob.
Yeah, I look like a hobo. Yeah, and granted, like that's a big thing. We talked about wearing suit and tie or whatever. But if you're shooting these videos, you have a nice shirt on. It's not like you look like you should be selling someone a $5,000 package.
Yep. Give everybody your best.
Yeah, and that it's not that hard, right? Whether in order to do these things, it's so funny because like all of these concepts, what you're saying is so easy, but it just, first of all, you have to do it, but also it's you just have to have someone tell you how to do it, right?
Yep. And if you're not, I'm sure, I honestly don't know any of you, so I'm not sure if you do this or not. But my detailer, he follows me on Instagram. I happen to be pretty active on my Instagram stories, and I like doing my car stuff or whatever. But if you're not following your clientele on Instagram in some way, shape, or form, and you're not, even if they don't show their cars or whatever, like, dude, give them a monthly nudge. Hey, dude, it's probably dirty as hell right now. Stop in. Shop's been a little slow. I'll give you $25 off a wash. Done, bro. I'm in. Come pick it up or what. That's just something that popped up with just being just professional. Like follow people. It's super simple.
And I will say, if your customers are following you back, stop being an idiot. Stop posting, political stuff or whatever else is going to alienate your customers. So I've been preaching this since like 2010.
Yeah. The way I like to say it is stop sharing irrelevant content with relevant people.
There you go. I like it. So I read a quote, speaking of your Instagram, and this was probably ended up on Facebook from your Instagram, but you had a quote, you were talking about discipline. And the quote is, every man needs to master his fitness, finances, faith, and family. So I was thinking of you. I read that this morning before I went and worked out, and I don't often think about my guests this much, but I was thinking about you while I was working out. And I was thinking about this idea of discipline, and I had commented on one of your things the other day. Basically, it's not if I'm going to work out, it's when I'm going to work out. But my wife was sick all weekend. We were down there working out. She literally had to stop like 3 times because she felt like she was going to throw up. But she's still down there working out. We're doing weights today. And sorry for the long story, but today was leg day. Today's leg day. So I went heavy for me. I've been really trying to build my legs because I've had chicken legs for a long time and I'm finally getting there, but it's 5 sets of 5 and it's a fairly long workout, but I did 5 sets of 5 squats today. And I mean, we're like 285, 305, somewhere in there, which for me is pretty good.
Yeah, you're putting up weight.
Yeah, so I put up the weight, did all those sets. So then the next set is deadlifts.
Oh.
And like I do and I'm like at 265 like for the first set, And literally it was like Kevin's quads have left the chat. Like the first rep, I was like, this is just, I don't even, like, I could not force myself mentally.
Yep.
And I started thinking about this quote that you gave, and I'm like, the discipline is that I'm going to continue to do these reps, but I'm not going to do 265. Like I dropped it to like 135. I did those sets. I adjusted my feet, and then I finished. There was like 7 more exercises after that. But the discipline comes in not quitting, right? And not giving up. And I'm not crazy like you. Of course, you have a younger child at home. I don't have young children at home anymore. You get up at like 3 a.m. and go work out by 6 or whatever it is. I'm usually up by 6 and working out.
You got my schedule down, bro.
Yeah. Well, I saw some posts this morning. No, I've been stalking Jordan for, I've been watching his house. But I want you to, but that discipline thing is super important to me. Can we just walk through these 4 F's? Right. Like, the fitness, finances, faith, and family. Because I think a big thing that I want to give in this podcast, and I've had other guests that I've done this as well, very high performing people, is there are certain disciplines and behaviors and mindsets that successful people have that unsuccessful people do not have.
Yeah.
And I think the way that you put that, I mean, this could have read right off of something I would post. Yeah. Because those are the 4 main things that I'm interested in and that I spend time in.
I just think it really matters. I did say men because I believe masculinity is earned. And I think more often than not, as providers and protectors of our families, things like fitness should be an absolute non-negotiable. Things like finances should be an absolute non-negotiable. But I mean, across the board, I think this affects everyone. But the point is that there's so much stuff to do, and I think people, particularly myself, kind of until maybe a decade ago, I thought that getting to where I wanted to go would require me to do this thing, and oh my God, I got to do this thing too, and I got to do this thing and this thing and this thing, and then before you know it, you realize that you're getting nowhere, and it's all about what you're not doing. So like fitness for me is it helps build it. Sure, whatever, body's fine, getting jacked or whatever is cool, but like it's more of the mental thing where it's like, if I can go wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I can get 3 hours of work done and get to the gym by 6 o'clock, I can lift heavy, I can punish myself, go through the reps like what you said. Does making one extra phone call today or dealing with a tough customer, is that an issue for me today? Probably not, because I just mastered my quads at the gym while they were literally on fire. Making a phone call that's the simplest thing I could do today.
That's that evidence we were talking about earlier, right?
Exactly. Then from there, I mean, that spills into finances now, because now I'm building that discipline and the muscle to pick up the phone when I don't want to, because look, I'd rather go to get a coffee or say hi to my assistant or whatever. Now I'm making more money. I'm more focused. Of course, for me, I'm a believer in God. Faith is something that is very important to me and something that I'm trying to establish a better relationship with, because I think that affects every area of life. And obviously that requires discipline too. It's really easy to pray, just a whole lot easier not to, it's really easy to read, your religious text. I read the Bible, but dude, it's just a lot easier not to. So having that discipline to do that. And then of course, family, dude, it's really easy to go home to your kids and your wife after work. It's just also really easy to not be present and just scroll through Instagram, sit on the couch and be the man and, watch the news or whatever. And all of that just leads to such a mediocre life. And I don't want to be a guy that dies whenever I die and I go to heaven and I could have met the guy that put some time and attention, energy and effort on money, on my faith, on my family, and on my fitness. I don't want to meet the version that I could have been. I want to look at that guy and be like, dude, I actually outpaced you, So it's about, and this this transcends sales and everything, but being our best version of ourselves and bringing that to our customers. You know, I'm looking at you right now. I can tell you go to the gym and take care of yourself. If I have my car and I'm bringing it in and you're offering me whatever it is for a detailing package, guess what? I probably am automatically going to think that you can take care of my car because I know you can take care of yourself. I start looking at other things in people's lives. It's about bringing that best version of yourself to the table. And there's just not a lot of people doing that in America these days. And so if you want to get ahead in life, put some attention on your money, fitness, faith, family, and just live at 10.
Yeah, I love that you finished with that. That's a big thing I talk about with my mentor is like being in that 9 or 10 every single day is like the goal, right? Like on all of those different areas. And I think so many of us get into this mentality where it's, well, I'm just trying to survive and do the best I can. Yeah, that's true. But you're also, 50 pounds overweight. And that's why you feel like crap. You have a terrible relationship with your family, or you sit and watch TV all night after you get home, and all of these different things, right? And I think that what I've found is as you get, and I'm sure that you're the same way, as you get more discipline in each of these areas, it gets easier to make that just part of your life, right? Like that becomes who you are, not what you do.
Yep.
And you're talking to a guy that has a whole nother brand called Maxed Out Man. So your comment about masculinity is totally appreciated and right up my alley. But the reason I wanted you to go through that is because I think that it's something that we miss, especially in this industry. I think there are some people, I think in America, to your point, that we don't pay a lot of attention to that, to those factors in order as a component of a success. Right. That's a big thing.
Yeah. I think that there's just a lot of excuses these days, and there's not that pride like there should be. I don't feel it around other men in general when I'm hanging out in groups or, whatever. I don't feel like this sense of like accomplishment from a lot of people and a lot of pride where they're in really good shape and they know that they've got a great family unit back home and they've got money in the bank and they could make some investments. Or I just don't feel like there's a lot of people out there that are running with that ideology towards life. And it's so easy. It's so easy to make some more money. It's so easy to go to the gym. It's so easy to have a great family life. It's so easy to be that best version of yourself. It's just, I feel like there's just so many excuses these days that people can make as to why they're not.
Yeah. We hear it all day long, every day. And I think it's funny because that, like Dan Martell I saw a video that Dan Martell put out the other day, and he was talking about his bicep vein.
I've been trying to get that right here.
Yeah, right. And dude, I'm totally veiny. I could trace this vein all the way from up here to the end of my finger.
Yeah, that's sick.
My daughter, the paramedic's like, oh, I would love to just put a needle in that. But he talks about it and as a component of his fitness and how it makes people judge him in a good way,
immediately.
And it's like, I don't think that we put enough and vanity aside, right? Yeah. Obviously vanity is a component of that. Like I'm vain and I want to look good and I want to be fit, but I'm 52 years old and like, I want to live to be 110 and be fit. Right. Yeah. I saw this dude on Instagram yesterday. He's 70, on his 79th birthday. He's throwing up 100-pound dumbbells. Did you see that video? I don't know if you saw that guy.
Was that Greg O'Gallagher?
This was like just some dude. Like it wasn't even
he must have reposted. It's some other fitness guy I follow. But yeah, dude, I was like, that's a fake video. Those are like paper mache. Like, but dude, he was hoisting up he was pressing 100-pound weights at 79.
And the most impressive part of that video was that he didn't drop the weights. He got up and re-racked the weights, which I was talking about these 95-pound dumbbells I have yesterday on my Instagram. And like the hardest part is getting them into position and then putting them back where they go. Yep. And so I want to be that guy. Right. Yep. Like, but there is to your point, people judge your ability to do whatever it is you say you're going to do based on how you look and present yourself.
Without a doubt, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I just hired Dan Martell for some coaching, so I've been following him very closely. I think he's an absolute stud. But yeah, and to your point as well, like we all say we're going to do things. All right, I listened to Jordan and Kevin today. Like, I'll go get a bicep vein and take the gym seriously. It's like, if you don't, and you just told yourself you will, you don't trust yourself no more.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you start making a bunch of other bad decisions just to validate the original bad decision you made based on the fact that you didn't go and get your pump in today. So you got to be very careful, and you got to follow through, and you got to keep your own word. And I would say out of all of that, that's where I find the most fulfillment is like, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life, and boom, I did it. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to make this much money this year and sell this much stuff. Boom, I did it. Okay, what's next? And the animal keeps on eating because I believe whatever I say I'm going to do, I do. And so if you're not following through with the things that you say you want to be doing, I think you're doing yourself personally just a massive disservice.
I always talk about it in terms of integrity. A lot of times we think of integrity as an outward thing with other people, but the most important component of integrity is if you tell yourself you're going to do something, you have a personal responsibility to yourself to do those things. And we all fail here and there. We miss a workout, or we don't want to go, or want pizza, or whatever the hell it is. But like you do, and to your point, you said you have to do what you say you're going to do for yourself, like whatever you're telling yourself. And so I think that's a huge thing. Well, I mean, I want to be respectful of your time. I cannot tell you how excited I was to have you on here, because this kind of part of this discussion, I know that we align really well with. And I think it's super helpful, both from a sales standpoint. We talk about the intro of this show as life, business, and everything in between. And like this, you can't have a better example than this with this podcast. So I tell Dan that I admire him and think he's awesome. I'd love to be able to hire Dan as a personal coach. That would be super awesome. Put that on my man. Put that on my bucket list, right?
Go get it.
But dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thanks for the chat. It's been a lot of fun.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.